Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome inside Enterprise Center. Glad to have you with us for Blues Game Day Live, along with Joe Vitale. I'm Darren Pang.
Wait, you're not Darren Pang.
I want to be Darren Pang. Can I be Darren Pang?
You can be him for a little while, yeah.
Hey, Joe.
I'll go up.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, that's me. Don't talk to my partner like that.
Guy with gumption. No, I'm Chris Kerber, of course. That's Joe Vitale, and glad to have you with us. Big game tonight, game one of round two. St. Louis Blues and Dallas Stars. The round two of the Stanley Cup playoffs begins here tonight. A big thanks to our presenting playoff partners, Purina, Centene, BMO, Harris Bank, and Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Glad to have you with us. And Joe, a couple of days off for the St. Louis Blues. Let's start with the break. They took a day off, actually took 2 days off the ice, then got back at it. Two very competitive practices leading into today's morning skate.
Well, I think that's the good reset. That's the reset you need. And, you know, people out there who argue that too much time off is a bad thing, I never really quite agree with that. As a player, that was a tough first series against the Winnipeg Jets. It was as heavy as everyone was anticipating. The Blues needed some rest. I know personally there's a couple players down there with some knick-knack injuries. It just takes about 3 or 4 days to get over. So this days of rest, it was pretty big here for the Blues.
So the St. Louis Blues coming back with the same group that helped them close out the series. Now you get ready for the Dallas Stars. I had several conversations with players during the off days, and I said, hey, how much does a regular season success or lack of success against a team play into the psyche of a playoff series? And almost to a man, most of them said, I don't even remember the last time we played the Dallas Stars. Players just don't think that way, do they?
They don't. They got a short-term memory, and they just close it off. They live in day-tight compartments, and I think that's a really healthy thing, obviously. When you look at the Jets series, now you look at the Dallas series because the Dallas Stars had the Blues number this year as well. And I think that you look at this Dallas Stars team and the Blues team, and when these two teams played each other earlier this year, two very different teams. You know, Jim Montgomery, after the All-Star break with this Dallas Stars group, he didn't like where they were at. He completely switched up the identity to more of a defensive-minded team instead of the track-meet kind of goal-scoring team for the Dallas Stars. Everyone knows what Craig Berube has done with this group from the first few meetings earlier this season long. So it's going to be a great matchup here tonight. It's going to be two different teams, two different looks. You know, and one thing that stood out when the Blues played the Stars in those first few games, they were a very top-heavy team. They had that top line, but I watched a lot of those Nashville games, that last round, they play with speed. That second, third line, even that fourth line, they can come at you in waves. So this is a very, very different group.
Heck of a goaltending matchup in this series as well, Joe. You've got Ben Bishop, a proven NHL goaltender in his third playoffs now, but he's gone to the Stanley Cup Finals with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Recently named a Vezina finalist, so the third time he's become a Vezina finalist. Now, for those, by the way, that didn't believe that Jordan Binnington had played enough games to be named or nominated for Rookie of the Year, you got a Vezina finalist in Ben Bishop that only played 46 games.
Yeah.
So I think Jordan Binnington played more than enough games to be Rookie of the Year when you look at that stat. But you've got basically, statistically, two of the top three goaltenders when it comes to goals against average and save percentage in the regular season. It's going to be a storyline in this series.
I think it's what it's going to come down to, and there's really no surprise about it. I mean, goaltending is going to dictate this series. You got two of the hottest goaltenders right now. I mean, Ben Bishop carried a .945 save percentage in round one, arguably the best player for the Dallas Stars in that round, and Jordan Binnington, same way, and both goalies did what goaltenders are supposed to do. You keep your team in a perfect position to win every night, and it's going to be funny. You mentioned the matchup here tonight, and in this series, Ben Bishop and Jordan Binnington, two very different styles. I mean, Ben Bishop stands at 6'7", Jordan not quite that tall. Ben takes up a lot of the net, actually moves left to right pretty well for a big goaltender, and Jordan Binnington, a smaller guy, but being smaller, his angles are so much more efficient, I think, at times. Great angles, and he understands where he's at in the crease. So the matchup, as good as it's going to be, it's also fun to see the different spectrum of the kind of quality of goalies and what their positives are and what their negatives are.
And the last storyline to really follow is going to be the depth. If the Blues, having home ice, decide to go beef on bun and end up putting the O'Reilly line head-to-head with the Jamie Benn line, we'll see if that's a matchup that happens. But if not, somewhere down the line, especially with Robbie Fabry still in the lineup and on that fourth line with Alexander Steen, the Blues have some scoring depth that really could create some mismatches.
Well, and don't forget, Robbie Fabry back in 2016, he was a huge part of that 7-game series against the Dallas Stars. I believe he had maybe 8 points in those 7 games. So that's the player for me right now to watch in this series. Obviously, you're going to keep an eye on Tarasenko and O'Reilly, but the sleeper for me is going to be Robbie Fabry. He's proven in playoffs he can really come out and attack the Dallas Stars team. That's going to be a big one, and you mentioned the depth for the up front. Vladimir Tarasenko, 2 goals, a -4 in the first round. That's something that, as Ryan O'Reilly stated, they can be a lot better better. I think this top line for the St. Louis Blues 5-on-5 has more to give, and I expect to see that here in this first round. And the second line, third line in spurts that whole first round, they were just exceptional in certain games, and that's going to be big here. And one thing that stands out for the Dallas Stars, and the second and third line especially, they play with speed. They got a lot of jams. Zuccarello, they got him at the deadline. Cogliano from Anaheim, more speed to the lineup. So again, this is a different group. They come with speed, they come with pace, but one thing stands out about both these teams, almost to the point where they mirror image each other, is the defensive zone. Both very defensively savvy teams. They keep everything to the outside. Forwards collapse. I'm not expecting a lot of goals again in this series either.
And pretty amazing when you can see a 19-year-old Amiro Heiskanen log the kind of minutes he logged for the Dallas Stars in round one. So there's a whole nother discussion to happen when you look at the defensive matchups, the mobility of both teams, the physicality of the St. Louis Blues, the size of the Blues, and how that compares to the last series where the Dallas Stars did not face that kind of size when they defeated the Nashville Predators. A lot to get to and a heck of a lot of time to do it. It's an 8:30 start tonight at Enterprise Center, and again, a terrific light show for you before the game, so make sure you're in your seats by 8:15. It'll be the Blues against the Dallas Stars. Game one here tonight. Game two on Saturday afternoon with a 2 o'clock faceoff right here at Enterprise Center. For Joe, Chris, we'll see you at the arena later on tonight.